Hello everyone, and it's that time again when we take a look at the latest display news from this month and what's been hitting the headlines recently. It's been a slightly quieter month for monitor news, which is typical at this time of year, with many brands focused on Black Friday sales and looking ahead to the preparations for CES in January. Let's take a look at some of the news that stood out this month though. Both AOC and ViewSonic announced several new monitors. Affordable OLED screens are an ongoing theme, and there was even some interesting news coming from Sony in the form of their own PlayStation 5 branded display. We'll also recap some of our reviews and articles from this month, and we've got some updates and news to share with you on some firmware updates that we've been testing on several of the recently released models too. We'll cover off some common questions that we've had as well at the end, so let's get right into it, right after a quick word from this video's sponsor. This Black Friday period, ASUS have a wide range of great monitor deals you should definitely check out, including models across both their gaming and professional lineups. Maybe you're looking for a new 4K OLED monitor for an exceptional picture quality, or perhaps an OLED monitor with a super high refresh rate up to 500Hz for some serious gaming. You might also be looking for the latest dual mode LCD screens at an attractive price point, giving you some strong all-round performance and flexibility for different gaming situations. Or maybe you're looking for a ProArt range screen with even higher resolutions and a focus on colour accuracy and productivity. Either way, ASUS have you covered with a great selection of deals to choose from right now. You can check out all of the deals in our ASUS Black Friday tracker linked below. With OLED panels still being relatively new to the monitor market and carrying the latest specs and features, it's probably no surprise that they often carry a premium price tag, although we're continuing to see lower cost and more affordable models being released to make OLED more affordable to the masses. In what will no doubt have come as a welcome addition to AOC's popular and affordable G4 gaming series this month, we saw its lineup expanded into the OLED segment for the first time. The AOC Q27G4ZDR and the Q27G4SDR are the first models in the G4 series to be built around Samsung Display's QD-OLED panel technology. They're both 27 inches in size and offer a 1440p resolution, but they offer slightly different refresh rates, with the ZDR model reaching 240Hz, while the SDR model reaches a higher 360Hz. Perhaps the most important thing to note is the price tag. Both of these are available to buy now in some European regions, with the ZDR model priced at £400 in the UK, which could be an interesting option for the budget-conscious gamers. With the G4 lineup previously being dominated by the use of LCD panels, it's great to see AOC now bringing affordable OLED panels into that segment as well. Another screen offering great value for money in the OLED segment is a new model in the Philips Evnia range, with a typically long and hard to remember model number. Like the AOC models, this is a 27-inch size screen built around a Samsung Display QD-OLED panel featuring a 1440p resolution and 240Hz refresh rate. The screen also features their AmbiGlow lighting technology, which enhances the content on the screen by creating a halo of light from the back of the monitor which adapts to match the image being shown on the screen. That provides the user with a more immersive and enjoyable experience. With this screen due to hit the UK shelves before Christmas at £399, again this is a really well priced OLED option. In other OLED news, we saw AOC launch a further model, this time expanding their Aegon Pro range. The AGP327UZD is a 32-inch size screen boasting a 4K resolution and 240Hz refresh rate. This one's built around an LG Display WOLED panel, and it also features their dual mode support so that you can double your refresh rate up to 480Hz when dropping to a lower 1080p resolution. So whether it's super fast refresh rates you need or stunning and immersive visuals, then this screen has got you covered. It also comes equipped with full-speed DisplayPort 2.1 connectivity, although it's currently only available in China and the details of the global release dates are yet to be announced. We'll leave the world of OLED behind now for a moment and move on to some of the LCD news, but we'll come back later to discuss some of the firmware updates that we've been testing on several recently released OLED monitors. Acer unveiled an interesting new display in their Nitro gaming series. The XV325QK V3 features a 32-inch 4K resolution IPS panel and 160Hz refresh rate. It also offers some great additional specs, including dual mode functionality, which allows you to double that up to 320Hz at 1080p. And most interestingly, it's got a 1152 zone mini LED backlight for impressive HDR performance and brightness. This one's listed on Amazon.com already at a very decent price point, and it's a great alternative to an OLED screen if you want to save some money, want a more all-purpose screen perhaps, but still want a good level of HDR support. Another new mini LED screen coming out soon is the AOC Q27G20SM. It will offer a 27-inch IPS panel with a lower 1440p resolution and an increased 320Hz native refresh rate. This one's got a 1152 zone mini LED backlight again, meaning it should deliver strong HDR experience. In other standard LCD news, we also saw two models announced from ViewSonic, one in their XG series and the other in their VX series. The ViewSonic XG2730D-4K offers a 27-inch IPS panel with a, unsurprisingly, 4K resolution and 144Hz refresh rate. Like a few of the other screens that we've featured so far, this one also has a dual mode function, so you can double that up to 288Hz when dropping to 1080p resolution for certain gaming situations. Like a lot of the other gaming focused screens, this model also promotes its support for a range of aspect ratio modes, which is great if you want to switch between modern day titles and old school classics or play at non-standard ratios and resolutions. The ViewSonic VX2766 2K Pro 8, ridiculously long model name, is another 27-inch IPS panel but with a 1440p resolution and a 340Hz overclock refresh rate. It also features the gaming ambient lighting, which apparently sets the mood in your gaming while helping to reduce eye strain by providing a comfortable background glow. Although this model only has a simple tilt-only stand. There's no news on the availability and pricing of these two ViewSonic screens yet, but we'll keep you posted on our website. For those PlayStation 5 gamers out there, Sony unveiled this month their own PS5 branded gaming monitor. With Sony not usually known for producing that many monitors, this display has a fairly modest set of specs with a 27-inch sized IPS LCD panel, 1440p resolution and a native 240Hz refresh rate. Variable refresh rates are supported, but it should be noted that the PlayStation 5 gamers will only experience up to 120Hz, as that's the maximum that the console can support. One unique feature is the inclusion of a retractable charging hook for the DualSense wireless controller, which is a handy extra on this screen. It is a shame though that this isn't an OLED panel for better contrast and HDR support, and that it doesn't support 4K resolution, despite the PS5 being capable of that output. That said, it could appeal to PlayStation 5 enthusiasts perhaps. It's expected to be released in 2026, but more details are to be confirmed. As usual for this time of the year, we've seen some great deals and offers appear for Black Friday. In order to save you hours of scouring the internet and different websites looking for what's on offer, we've compiled a helpful list of the best monitor deals to save you the trouble. We know that our Black Friday tracker proved popular last year, and we're pleased to announce that that is back again for 2025, and we'll keep that regularly updated throughout this sales period. You can find the links to the tracker in the description below, and you can stay up to date with all of the latest offers there. As well as that tracker, we've also got several featured articles highlighting all of the best deals from some of the leading monitor manufacturers, including Asus, Gigabyte and MSI. So do check those out if you want to know loads more about what they've got on offer during Black Friday. If you're keen to buy a new OLED monitor but you don't really know where to start or where to look, we've also recently published a video covering all of our top recommendations in each OLED size. So that will hopefully help you narrow down your choice if you're stuck at the moment. Many of those screens and many of those recommendations are also on Black Friday sale at the moment as well, so it's a great time to check that out and bag yourself a new screen. In case you missed it, we also published a couple of new reviews this month. This included a review of the highly anticipated flagship OLED monitor from Asus, the ROG Swift PG27AQWP-W. We saw this one first of all at Gamescom in August, and this screen boasts a lot of impressive specs and features, all packaged up in a very unique and modern design. It's part of their premium ROG Swift lineup, and it's got a 27-inch sized 4th gen primary RGB tandem WOLED panel with a 1440p resolution and a massive 540Hz refresh rate, the highest that you can get currently from any OLED monitor. There's also a dual mode function allowing you to boost your refresh rate to an even more insane 720Hz if you're prepared to drop to a much lower resolution of 720p. That might be useful in some certain niche gaming situations or for older titles perhaps. To top it all off, this one also includes ASUS's true black glossy screen coating for a super clear and sharp image. It's got an amazing spec for sure, but how did it measure up when it came to our testing? Check out the review linked in the description below to find out. In terms of availability, it's starting to creep into some regions for pre-order, maybe even available in some countries, but you can keep an eye on our 500 plus OLED tracker on our website if you want to keep track of availability in different regions for this and all of the other 500Hz or higher OLED monitors. We also reviewed MSI's second 500Hz QD OLED monitor this month, the MPG271QR X50, and we specifically compared this MPG model to the MAG version that we'd reviewed earlier in the year in September. This one is also 27 inches in size with a 1440p resolution, but it's built around a QD OLED panel with a refresh rate of 500Hz. The MPG model has got various extra features including DisplayPort 2.1 connectivity, other connectivity upgrades, their new AI care sensor, and some improvements to performance as well. So do check out our review, link below if you want to know more about this screen. It's scheduled to be released at the end of November in the UK, but the USA is still to be confirmed and likely delayed a bit due to tariffs and import challenges. Again, you can keep a track of availability of this model in our 500Hz and above OLED tracker on our main site. While we're talking about recent reviews, it's also worth mentioning some additional testing that we've done this month on some updated firmware on various new models that we've reviewed. For the ASUS PG27AQ-WPW, one discrepancy that we noticed after our review was published was that Tim over at Monitors Unboxed had noted that he was not able to disable DSC when using the screen with a UHBR20 DisplayPort 2.1 graphics card, when we had actually been able to do that during our testing. After speaking with Tim, we tested it again and found that we could also no longer disable DSC properly. This was a bug that seemed to be caused by an updated firmware that we'd both been sent and used for the rest of our testing after we'd done that initial DisplayPort 2.1 testing. I flagged this back to ASUS, who confirmed that it was a bug and that they've now released a newer MCM 102 firmware in mid-November, which fixes that. And it now allows you to disable DSC properly again like it did the first time, if you've got a DP 2.1 graphics card that supports it. The timings and config of this panel allow the full spec to fit within the DP 2.1 UHBR20 bandwidth without DSC being needed if you want to. And perhaps more importantly, it also allows for support from a DP 1.4 system using DSC. Anyway, the new firmware fixed that bug and we've updated our review to reflect the latest update. Towards the end of October, we also tested the new MCM 102 firmware on the ASUS ROG Strix XG27AQ-WMG. This is their 27-inch 4th gen WLED panel with 280Hz refresh rate. That improved various things very nicely, including a few issues that we'd flagged back to ASUS during our original testing. 60Hz input lag had been improved greatly, some of the on-screen display bugs had been addressed now, and perhaps most interestingly, HDR brightness and performance had been improved nicely as well. We've updated our review with all of that latest testing already, so check that out if you want to know loads more of the details. Finally, Gigabyte also released an updated F06 firmware for their MO27Q28G. This is their 27-inch 4th gen WLED panel as well. This one improves the HDR performance in the specific Peak 1500 mode, which had been previously missed out from the major HDR updates that had made it into their previous firmware just before it was released. The other HDR modes had already been improved, but this one needed some additional work to correct the colours and the brightness properly. But now this mode allows more adjustment of the settings and it fixes things very nicely, allowing you to overcome the darker than intended performance that caused problems in that mode before. You now have access to the APL stabilize setting in this mode, which gives you 3 different options and flexibility to choose different performance. All of those options actually still meet the 1500 nits peak luminance, just with different EOTF tracking. The low mode behaves as this mode did before, with a darker than intended EOTF, which we don't really think anyone would want to use. The high APL mode now matches the high APL mode in the other HDR presets like the game mode, and this is probably the optimal for maximizing the brightness on the panel. The middle mode sits somewhere in between, with a slightly more accurate EOTF tracking, but not quite as bright in real scene brightness due to the roll-off in overall brighter scenes. You can experiment with those modes, of course, to see which one you prefer, but we think the APL high mode is likely to be preferable for most users. We're still waiting on an update to the reported Black Crush challenges on the new Gigabyte firmware. This hasn't been updated yet in that F06 firmware, but it causes a loss of shadow detail in some of the native color space modes in SDR content. But a good fix for now is just to use either the DCI-P3 or the sRGB emulation modes, which are a lot better. HDR mode also remains unaffected. One other thing that we experimented with and tested this month was ASUS's Display Widget Center software, a surprisingly useful app which helps you control and customize your ASUS monitor. It's even got some additional functions and capabilities that you might not be aware of, like being able to switch modes depending on the content that you're viewing, and the ability to define keyboard shortcuts for settings and presets. We've also included a download for our best settings for various ASUS monitors in that article, models that we've tested recently, so that you can quickly and easily import those via the software if you own any of those screens. It's definitely worth checking out that software. We were surprised by some of the functionality. It turned out to be pretty useful during our testing. Time to cover off some of your common questions as well from over the last month. Please leave other questions in the comments section below and we'll do our best to address those next month. Loads of people have been asking us this month about whether we'll see any other new 4th gen primary RGB tandem WOLED panels in other sizes and resolutions soon. People are asking about 27-inch 4K, a new 32-inch 4K panel, ultra-wide options, high-res ultra-wide options. We don't have any firm news on these at the moment, but CES is coming up very soon, so we definitely hope to see some news from display manufacturers from that event in January. We'll also be meeting with LG Display at CES, so we'll see what other new information we can get on their 2026 technologies and panels, of course. And we'll provide a further update on WOLED panels and technology in the new year. We do know that LG Display have been developing new panels in these sizes and resolutions, so anything new from them should be using their latest 4th gen panel structure anyway. So we'll report back when we know more. Right, that's us done for another month. We hope you stuck around till the end, and as always, don't forget to hit subscribe if you want to keep up to date with all of these news pieces going forward and our other reviews and monitor content. If you want to leave us a comment or question below, please do so in the comments section and we'll do our best to cover off any questions next month. We'll see you at the end of December when we'll hopefully be in a position to bring you a bit of teaser news about what's going on at CES perhaps, and what's available in terms of Christmas and New Year sales. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you next time.